Oh, hello. Welcome to another episode of the Thriving Family Table Talk on our parenting series. How are you doing? Let us know where you are joining in from. Please type in the comments section, and thank you for always joining in. Today's episode is episode 8, and we've done 7 other series on very topical issues. You can actually catch the replay on Naomi at Naomi the Thriving Place on YouTube, or on Osegha-Ebose at Excelling Life. I'll take it again. You can actually get the replays on Osegha-Ebose Excelling Life or Naomi the Thriving Place on the YouTube channels. Before I introduce the topic for today, thank you for joining in and welcome. Please let us know where you're joining in from. Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, our favorite teen mentor, coach, an intentional prayer intercessor. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. How are you too?
I'm well. I just got back from school. I said, let us just quickly jump in on the call because it's
Yeah.
something we must do. Yes. So are we ready? Today's topic is the power of listening. The power of listening, giving your child a voice. Giving your child a voice. The role of parenting is empowerment, is to empower the child or the children. And it starts from the home, whether the child will be able to express themselves freely. And when you give the child a voice, the child is able to build rapport, relationship rapport building, and they build their self-confidence and self-esteem. It's another way of also teaching them emotional intelligence. And the parents, while they are doing that, they have to be patient, they have to be present, they have to be willing to answer the questions that keep coming. It is a good way to teach the children to express themselves, because if they are not learning how to express themselves from home, the probability that when they go out of the home, they won't express themselves is very, very high. So let us just dive into the first question, because listening to our children is a skill set, because it will also teach them how to further listen to other people while also picking good traits from the parents. So the first question is, what does it really mean to listen to your children? What does it really mean to listen to your children?
Thank you. Thank you everyone for joining us.
Thank you.
So listening, is one of the most powerful expression of love and respect we can offer our children.
Yeah.
Like when we truly listen, we communicate that their words matter, that their feelings are valid, and their voices have a place in our home. And when they have that, they know that that their voices also matter in the society. So God is our perfect Father. He models this through his attentiveness to us as his children. He listens to us, he understands and responds in love. So when we listen to our children, it goes beyond hearing words. It means paying attention to the art behind the words.
Yeah.
So listening for what they are saying and what they are not saying. And listening involves, empathy, patience, as you mentioned, and focus.
Yes.
It reflects God's own nature because he hears us when we call him.
Yes.
So listening involves, even in, you mentioned emotional intelligence, there are courses on effective listening skills, because it is not just important in the home, it is important in every sphere of life.
Yes.
So, and when a child learns that as they grow up as part of their upbringing, it becomes easy for the child to communicate, to relate with people, and it also it helps with conversation. So listening means creating a space for your child's voice.
Yes.
Recognizing that voice, validating the voice so that the voice is strengthened. It is an intentional act of love, that builds trust and
Mhm.
confidence. It is hearing both the words and the emotion, what is said and what is left unsaid. So, and it
Okay.
also mirrors the nature of God. So that is what listening is. And I'm sure we'll touch on other areas as we continue.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Because the mastery of communication is very key. They learn it from the home so that we're not stifling the innate abilities. Because if we teach them, the innate abilities are there. So we're the first custodians to actually teach and help them, support them in the mastery of communication. So let's go to the next question. It says, why is it important for children to feel heard and understood? Why is it important for children to feel heard and understood? Why is it important? Over to you.
Yeah, it's very important. Like I was saying in our chat that today I didn't even think of it. I just
Mhm.
had a teaching with the teenagers on your voice, your impact. And the story was about the servant girl and Naaman, how because, she came up to
Mhm.
make a suggestion that if my master can go to the prophet in Samaria, he will be healed. And the mistress of the house paid attention to that voice, to what she said. And
Mhm.
at the end of the day, Naaman received a healing. She was not shut down.
Yeah.
And that speaks to one importance of listening to our children because they also carry grace.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
carry grace, they carry the presence of God. When
They
God
carry
said,
good news.
yes, so when God said in Luke chapter 21, verse 15, that I will give you a voice and a word that no one will be able to gainsay or question,
Mhm.
it's not just for adults, it's also for children. God has also given them a voice and a wisdom. And if you don't help listen to the child, they will not be able to develop, they will not be able to strengthen their voices. One of the questions I asked the teenagers was, the next time that if it ever happened that the servant girl had something else to say, did they think that people will listen to her in that house? They were like, oh, everybody will listen to her. So that is what happened. That is the importance of listening to our children. When we let them know that their voices are valid, then that voice is strengthened and they are able to bring out what the Lord is saying to them. Our children, they feel heard, they develop their confidence, openness, and emotional security.
Yeah.
When they feel heard and understood, they learn that their thoughts and feelings are valid. When they
Mhm.
are not heard, they often shut down and look elsewhere for validation. So you want
Yeah.
to listen to your children so they are not going out for validation for people that will listen to them. Sometimes they just need someone to listen to them. And so when we listening communicate value and dignity, that, oh, you are also important in this home. Your words are valid. It's not senseless. It's not
Mhm.
stupid. You are growing. You are strengthening it. So if a child comes and gives you a suggestion, and you are like, oh, and that is good, and you do it, you come back to say, oh, thank you for that great suggestion. It really worked. Next time, the child will be encouraged, will be more confident to say other things. And feeling understood help the children to express themselves freely and honestly. When you know that there is no judgment, this is a no judgment zone. My
Zone. Yeah.
mom will listen to me, my parents, my brothers and sisters will listen to me. And it creates emotional safety for the children, which will
Yeah.
foster obedience and cooperation. If they feel emotionally safe with you, it becomes easier for them to obey you and to cooperate with you. And of course, it will prevent rebellion.
Rebellion. Rebellion. Rebellion.
And of course, it will prevent rebellion, which is
Mhm.
sometimes rooted in frustration and neglect. When,
Yeah.
somebody is frustrated,
Yes.
it feels like nobody is listening to me in this house. Whatever I say in this house does not matter. If a child starts feeling like that, it means that as parents, we have not created that safe space for that child. And we have not even created a brave space where the child can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
When a child is vulnerable, and you know that even in my vulnerability, I am accepted, I am loved. So listening helps parents to gain insights they might otherwise miss. When you listen to your child, you'll be able to gain insight into what they are listening. That's the listening, that we are listening for what is said and what is not said. We are looking out for their body language. So, and when we allow them to express themselves, we show them that they are safe, they are valued, and they are respected. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. While you were talking, something dropped into my spirit. Let me just share my personal experience. Before I even go to the personal experience, what you were saying is the children learn not to be critical. They are non-judgmental because they know, like if you can liken it to rebellion. When you know you will be hurt, why do you want to be overly critical towards people, and you're able to live amicably with people? So the personal experience that dropped in my spirit, I remember when I was trying for my second child, my first son came. He said, Mom, you think I don't know that you have babies in your tummy? We did from nowhere, we're not discussing. No. So I was not wondering where he was coming from. I said, oh, really? I just left it at that. So we now slept off that night. The next morning, Nakin was, you know how children usually bounce on the bed, on the foam. So he was jumping. I said, Mommy, you think I didn't know what I told you yesterday? Jesus came to meet me. I said, where did he meet you? At that point, I just had to listen. I said, where did he meet you? He said, when I went to the toilet, he came to meet me in my school toilet. I said, so what did he tell you? He said, don't worry, there are babies in your tummy. I said, okay. If I was not paying attention before, I wasn't pregnant though. I now paid attention. So I now knew how to adjust my prayer plan. So what am I saying in a nutshell? You've already mentioned it. I just needed to add a life example to let parents know that our children carry grace. Yes, they can be our messengers. Naaman is an example in the Bible. She was a slave girl, but tried to help the king. Our children, they carry weight. So let's pay attention to them. Their voice matters. Give them room to express themselves. So we'll go into the next question that says, what are the barriers? What are the barriers that prevent effective listening between the parents and the children? What are the barriers?
Yeah,
What are the barriers?
thank you. As you were talking, I also sort of remembered, something similar to that. I'll share that and I'll go to the barriers. Before I had my last baby, my firstborn just came one morning. I was like, Mommy, I dreamt. I wasn't pregnant or anything. I didn't know. She was like, I dreamt that you had a baby boy in the US. I was like, really? I said, okay. We prayed about it because I would encourage them, if you have dreams, share with us so we can pray about it. And so the freedom was there, has always been there for them to come up and say, oh, I saw this, I saw this. And 2 weeks later, just sincerely, I checked and I was pregnant. Out of nowhere, there's about 7-year gap between my second born and my last born, and I was pregnant. Then I remember it was like, wow. So I said, okay, it's like the dream is coming together. Let's try for the US, which I did, and all that is history, So talked about the importance of listening to our children, as saying, because they have grace. God is also speaking to them, and it may not be as deep as this. It could be just in everyday life, everyday conversation, because it is also building skills for them to interact. So what are the barriers to listening, to effective listening between parents and children? Just the normal barriers in communication. The large barrier is noise and different things. I think we talked about it in maybe the previous discussion or the one before. Barriers comes in forms of noise. It's something that obstructs the medium of communication. So it can be in form of distractions. Our phones, we are talking, we're looking at our phones, we are not looking at the children. Our work stress, parents are coming, you're tired, and sometimes for me, sometimes I want to listen, but all the things I've gone through that day is coming here, is going out. So just being, so it could be stress, it could be multitasking during
Yeah.
conversations. It's a time to just focus on the child when the child is talking, because sometimes you can actually do some multitasking to even get the children to talk. Because I remember my husband sharing with me that when he was growing up, if the mom really wanted to have a conversation, that it comes down to knowing your child. Wants to have, like some conversations get with him. The mom will just take him to the kitchen, start frying, different things from plantain to yam, from everything, and he will be eating happily and be gisting with the mom. You can have, if that is your strategy for your child, like, this is how your child will talk or will
Yeah.
so you can do that. But otherwise, multitasking, during conversation can impede effective communication,
Yeah.
effective listening. Like you are listening to a music and say, continue, I can hear you. That's the communication is not there. Then judgmental reaction. Judgmental reaction. Your child is telling you already like,
I
all those
learned
look.
that one. I learned that one the hard way. Now, when you are talking to me, I'll just be looking at you. The face will not change. I'll just be looking. Anything you say, I'll be looking at you. Mama, yes, I'm hearing you, but inside me, I'm dying.
The way we African mothers can be, sometimes
Yeah.
you tell yourself, I won't be like that. But now we are becoming the African mothers, you
Yeah.
know, so judgmental reaction, jumping to conclusions, before you hear them, or lecturing instead of listening, instead of understanding. Then when there's emotional overload, like some people, maybe because of situation, your child becomes like your best friend, and you are dumping all the cares of this life,
And the
like
child.
on the child. The weight is too much, for the child to carry, can impede, listening, because now they're just listening to your life tale. They don't have the opportunity to talk. Yeah, you can be friends with your child, but just manage information, then venting or transferring aggression to them, anger, frustrations, that silences communication. Then you mentioned it at the beginning, lack of presence, being present but not present. You
No,
are in that.
not mindless conversations.
Yes, so you have to, if you are physically present but you are mentally absent,
Yeah.
that will that's a barrier to communication. So when parents focus more on being right than being relational, communication breaks down.
Mhm.
One thing that I always say, I don't like to say, did I not tell you? I try to avoid that, because I don't want to be right. I want you to also make your decision, and I'll gladly be okay with being wrong, like, oh, your decision was right. But if as a parent you are so quick to say, good for you, I told you, you did not listen, all those kind of things. So being wanting to be right all the time, it will affect the relation. You just be like, mommy will not listen, so, and it can cause communication to break down. So listening first helps helps us to respond in wisdom rather than emotion. So when we listen to them, even when we have told them not to do something, they chose to do that and it didn't work, it's not the time to start gloating over them. It's the time to be understanding, to actually listen and say, oh, maybe, if you can do it this way next time, but I celebrate you for trying, to make your own decisions. Thank you.
Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. You don't need to be an African mother when you go for the academic review or whatever school review of your children. When they give you feedback, both positive and negative, take everything. Then you now and don't react. Just to let the child know. Said, but you see, I said, we have improved, but we need to improve more. Then when the child tells you, yes, mommy, or daddy, I'm trying, I've moved from here to, you say, yes, I acknowledge, move more. So you've seen it's okay. Academically, you're okay. But behavior is also part of life. Behavior, character formation is also part of life. You cannot be brilliant academically and your character. So you turn it to a conversation. Just accept the positive. Then the child now tells me, "Aha, mommy, did you not hear? Did you not hear? Didn't you hear the positive?" And you say, "Yes, I heard it. I love it. Are you not my child? Don't you have my DNA?" Encourage the child so that you can get more. Because if you shut down, just concentrate on, you went for a review, you just focus on negative, 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 negative. Meanwhile, the positive, you didn't even bring it out for the child. So bring it out. Then the child will say, "Hey, mommy, yes, you do remember this positive part." You say, "Yes, correct." But you know this one, you see, they all said the same thing, but they said it in different ways. So parents, don't be the African father or African mother, because it will not augur well with
You know
the
that
children. That one is
things have even changed now.
yes.
You know, the children in this what do they call their generation now? Alpha,
Jennifer. Is it not Jennifer?
the one after them. You know,
I think it's Jennifer.
yeah, like my son, my 7-year-old, when I'm trying to say, oh, this, next you say, I'm trying my best.
But he just told you he's 1% of the best on earth. Yeah, he just told you.
I'm trying my best, but I'm giving it my best. You know, sometimes I just be like, yes, I know you're trying your best, but you can still do more. So,
Yeah,
like, you know,
just
the
encourage.
times are changing. The
Mm-hmm.
times are changing. You know, like the older ones, you can tell them some things, but as your children enters different generation, you have to adapt even your conversation skills, adapt your listening skills to them, so
Mm-hmm.
that you know keep the conversation going. Because it seems like they know they are right even more. They are taught every day in school you have right and all that. So when you're saying some things that are giving you back, so that you have to know what you're doing as a parent, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. I just want to pause and say, if you're an African mother or an African parent listening on this, just pat yourself on the back and say, "Well done." You know, it's not easy dealing with. Some of us have different generations, as in we have children in different. Just pat yourself on the back. You are trying. You are trying. You are trying. Well done. Well done. Parenting is parenting it's doable. It's doable. It's just for you to just release yourself. Be willing to learn. Be willing to pick this necessary skill sets. You must know how to manage a strong-willed child. You must know how to manage the one that is always overly happy. You can imagine when they come as a parent, they tell you that your child follows friends, oh, and is beginning to forget himself. What does that tell you? You need to work on your child to concentrate on his or herself, to know himself. It's okay to have friends, but you must make them realize that it's good to have friends too, but there is a place for being dependable. That if you are not dependable, you are not independent, you cannot be dependable. That means
Mhm.
you cannot do anything successfully without tying yourself to others. I know it's common with teenagers, but you must always let them know that independence is one skill they have to learn, because independent people are dependable people. So please, parents, it's okay for them to have friends. You just continue to monitor and be sure that they can do things independently, because it boils down to their identity, self-confidence, and their self-esteem. So we'll take the next question now that says, how can parents create a safe environment that gives children a voice? How can parents create a safe environment that can give children a voice? Thank you, Pastor Bridget, for joining in. Thank you, our viewers, for joining. We can see you. Thank you. Thank you. We appreciate you. So over to you.
Um, Creating a safe environment actually starts with the parents.
Yeah.
Start those in charge of that household,
Yeah.
because it starts with emotional stability.
Mm-hmm.
So it will flow down. So
Mm-hmm.
which means that the parent, you must be emotionally stable.
Mm.
You are
Correct.
able to respond in calmness with
Yeah.
empathy and respect.
Yeah.
So it starts from there, and you are able to create that safe space for the child.
Mm-hmm.
Children should know that they can speak freely without fear of ridicule or punishment. We talked about not creating a
Judgmental space.
judgmental space. So creating a non-judgmental space for conversation where the children are free to express themselves. It's
Yeah.
a safe space. They are not afraid of being judged. They are not afraid of being ridiculed. They are not afraid of being mocked. They know that this is a safe space. I can be myself.
Mm-hmm.
And nobody wants me to be anything else outside of myself. You have to create a brave space for them where they can be vulnerable.
Yeah.
Where, if the world is crashing, crumbling from outside, they remember that I have my home, a place of refuge to run to. And they
Yes.
can come into that house. They can break down if they want to, cry if they want to, knowing that they have their mother's love or they have their father's love, or they
Yes.
have whoever is in charge of that house has their back. Not like saying you are a man, you don't cry, man up, man up. No. So you have to create that brave space for them where they can stand up in courage and
Yeah.
where they can be at their lowest, knowing that they have people that have their back. And you have to create an accountable space for them where
Mm-hmm.
they learn to speak up when they feel like something is not right. Because when they're able to do that, it's become easier for them to stand for justice when they're out of the home.
Yeah.
Where they can say, oh, mommy, this thing, I think you should have done it this way. And you won't react as a parent. I was born before you, or I gave back to you. Like that. So making sure that we create that space for them
Mm-hmm.
where they can be themselves, where they can be vulnerable, where they can learn to stand up for what is right, where they can learn to speak their mind about things without being mocked or being judged. Then validate their emotion before correcting their behavior, like what we were saying, about when you go for the review. Validate that emotion, validate the positive before you start correcting their behavior. Allow them to express their views and ask questions.
Mm-hmm.
And when they give you a really good suggestion, even if it's not good, appreciate them for that. Appreciate them. Oh, that was a good contribution. That's a good contribution. And sometimes intentionally, when they tell me things and I do it, I come back to say, hey, that thing you suggested, it really worked. It really worked. Thank you. That way, they are able to keep talking. They know that their voice is valid. They can even tell their friend. The other day, when my mommy needed it, I was the one that told her, to do this because it's confident. So it helps them. They know that they can help adults. They can speak with adults. They can help people that are younger than them. That is not just limited to their peers. Then it's balance authority with empathy. Listen first, instruct second. We have the authority in the home, but at the same time, we must empathize, put ourselves in the shoes of our children. And there are some of the attitude as parents that helps us to create that space is we must have openness of mind.
Yes. Yes.
Not like you are listening to them, you have already formed your opinion. So whatever it is they are saying, you are just waiting for them to land, to finish, so that you give it back. We must be open, have an open mind to listen to them. We must be patient to allow them to talk. I know that we have a lot of things that we have to do as parents, but the same way that we block off our calendar to have meetings, to do whatever it is, we must also create that time to listen, be present, and listen to them. Have the presence of mind to listen. Then we must show compassion and empathy, and we must avoid shutting them down. We must not shut them down, don't shut them out. Let them be free to express themselves respectfully. Very important. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for so much nuggets you have dished out on that safe environment. I just want to add that the same voice you create for the child at home is the same voice you will take outside the home to take into the workspace, the marketplace, the business arena, in politics. So imagine if you are not allowing the child express themselves, how would they be speaking adults? I leave that for our parents to answer. How would they be speaking adults? Because they have to speak up. Most times they'll tell you are a chatterbox. Stop talking, stop talking, stop talking. I know my parents, as in whatever authority figures told me that. So when I now shut down, I shut down entirely. So I encourage parents, if you have children who are very expressive, just channel their energy, channel them rightly so that they are able to continue to express themselves and be able to still function well with respect. Because if you shut them down, like my sister has mentioned, if you shut them down to bring them back, they will now start to reassess, reappraise, and start to wonder who they are, why were they shut down. They might not come in the way I'm saying it sequentially, but they'll be wondering, why do they keep shutting me down? Why don't they let me express myself? Why are they comparing me to others? That's where low self-esteem comes in, and the child will now begin to struggle. Let a child, train a child in the way they came from God. Just your work is to polish. It's not to destroy innate values. Your work is to polish. Some children are very expressive. Let them be expressive, but just let them know that in being expressive, you have to show respect. You don't have to be rude. You have to, life is designed. You tell them how life is designed, the template, you give it to them so that they know they can express themselves. Because truly, imagine a child growing up that you have shut down, gets into a meeting in a workspace, in a corporate environment, or even in a pitch, as in a business pitch, and the child forgets the lines. Would you ever, the child comes back to say, will you forgive yourself? It's because the lack of preparation, the shutting down, it's ingrained in the child. It rarely leaves. It takes a whole lot of intentionality for that shutting down to leave the child. That's what you call now self-limiting belief. They now start living like others. They say, after they shut me down, let me live like my cousin. This my cousin they love so much. The child begins to live like the cousin, or begins to live like a sibling, now forgetting his or her own part. No, parenting is more than this. It's more than this. We must build trust. We must let the children understand that, okay, our role is to empower. And when they need us, let's be there for them. She's already mentioned it. Schedule listening, intentional listening, schedule intentional parenting. That's the right word, intentional parenting. Whether it's voice training, expressing self, whether it's teaching how to pray, whatever it is, let it just be intentional. You schedule when you go to make money. You schedule when you want to go and do your hair. You schedule when you want to take care of yourself. Also schedule parenting. It is tough, but it's doable. I spoke to somebody today and told the person that I used to do school run. I'm not trying to blow my trumpet here, but why did I do it? Because I knew with the nature of my work, I needed to also train these children, because if I continue to work without doing that intentional parenting, there will be a gap. So I can tell you, so God be the glory, I can tell you, okay, my child can do this, my child cannot do this, because I was always with them. I did one way. The second way, because of the nature of my work, I will now hand over to the caregiver and the driver who will handle the after school runs. But then it's possible. So please, we have to be intentional as parents, because their voice matters. And train them in such a way that when something goes wrong, she's already mentioned, they will tell you. They will let them tell you. They will express themselves. So, mommy, this is what's happened. But you have to also check, because that's where some children learn how to pick the vibes of gossiping. So you must also know how to train them, because every time, this will happen, that will happen. You also use that as in, it's tough, as a parent, you just have to be intentional. The mastery is, it's okay. You can never master parenting, but you can always be a better mother, a better father every day as it passes. Join communities that will help you to thrive in parenting. Let's take one more question. I hope we still have time. What are the results of practicing intentional listening in parenting? What are the results of practicing intentional listening in parenting?
Thank you. As you were talking, a scenario came to mind, like if there are parents that are always speaking for their children, like they ask the child, what is your name? Say, his name is this. are you going? You answer for the child. That is something that we have to intentionally work on, because we agree that our children, they have their own voices. So we have to go back and work on this with the child. Be intentional about listening to that child. Be patient, because sometimes what makes parents act in that way is that they are not patient enough. They feel like, no, you should be talking. Somebody asks, you should answer. Because of that, you just want to make everything to be so fast. Then you start answering for your child. That takes away their voices. Please, if you ever notice that, you have to go back and re-strategize on that, on how to help the child to begin to speak, for the children to speak for themselves. Listen, spend time in listening to them, encouraging them to talk, prepare them, so that when they go out, it becomes easier for them to speak, to open their mouth, to voice out, and also help them with conversation, how to have good conversation. So back to the question, what are the results of intentional listening in parenting? It builds strong emotional bonds between the parent and the children. It deepens trust, you've mentioned that, and it helps us to nurture mutual respect. It gives the confidence and strengthen their voices, because if they have spoken once and they are validated, the next time they are able to speak effectively. And it also helps us as parents to be able to raise them the way we are supposed to raise them. Like you mentioned, when you notice, this my child, the way this child is listening and communicating is going beyond out of scope, you are able to guide the child back into that. Because some children, they listen to other people and they come tell you, I heard this person saying. It's something that we have to discourage, because that is
training them to is it tale-bearing or gossiping? Which one is it now?
So it's something that we need to work on. So when we listen to our children, listen for what they are saying, what they are not saying, it helps us to be able to raise them the way we should raise them, based on their personality, based on who they are. Because we cannot just assume that our children are the same, because some may be more quiet than the other. So there's one that you have to probably say, when you're talking, you need to talk in this way, comport yourself, let it be brief, don't give too much information. And there are some that you need to encourage, that, you need to also touch on this when you are talking, because our children, they have different personality. And we should be able to look at them and help them. And it also equips parents to guide wisely, because it means that at that point we truly understand them. And of course, as parents, we are mirroring the listening heart of God. We are always available, we are patient, and we are kind. And all this will help us to know our child better. So you know what your child can do and what your child cannot do. You can predict, at least to some extent, that this is how my child will react in this situation. Thank you, my sister Aime. When a child feels heard, their morale is boosted. Also, when we listen intentionally, we can help them build better speaking skills and culturally relevant speech. Thank you so much. Yes, absolutely.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you for that awesome contribution. So that wraps it up.
Yeah. Thank you, because truly, like my lecturer will tell you that sometimes we just go to meet consultants. It's because of the things we are scared of doing. So let us not push our children to fear and not now be very bad public speakers. I know what I'm saying, so that they are able to speak well, emotional, that's in the right pitch at every point in time. They're able to speak up when they need to speak up. They're able to speak up for themselves. They're able to be vulnerable. They're able to maintain the good posture when they are speaking, because You won't have to spend much. Yes, they might go for maybe 1 or 2 courses of certification for polishing, but not that they will when they even go, they won't be scared to even go through it. So if you have a safe environment for the child will not live in fear. The safe environment will make the child very, very bold, very audacious, and it will master not just communication, it will master other skill sets that will be useful as an adult. So, my sis, let's hear your final words for today. I will wrap up the topic, the power of listening, giving your child a voice.
Thank you. So, in summary, listening is not a passive act. It is a ministry of love. So when we listen like God listens to us, we create homes filled with understanding, with connection and grace. And by giving our children a voice, we prepare them to become confident, wise, and God-fearing adults who will stand for justice in the public place, who will impact their generation for God, and who will be all that God has created them to be. Thank you.
Thank you, parents, for joining in. And for those who will catch the replay, we have other resources and thriving parenting resources on the 2 YouTube channels, Shade Oke, Excelling Life, and at Naomi, the Thriving Place. We'll see you again when we come around your spaces, when we take the next episode. Thank you for joining in today. And let me repeat, the topic has been the power of listening, giving your child a voice. Thank you, my beloved sister, coach, and mentor. We'll see you again next episode. Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.